Story 1's My life as a photographer was fading. Bills piled high, inspiration a distant memory. I desperately needed a fresh start, anything to reignite my passion. Scrolling through Craigslist, a vintage camera caught my eye. A classic model, fully functional, quick sale for an absurdly low price. Too good to be true, yet I clicked. The seller, an old man with unsettlingly pale eyes, met me in a deserted parking lot. He handed over the heavy camera without a word, taking my cash quickly. Its cold metal body felt solid, a promising weight. A beautiful, classic SLR. I imagined it would be my muse, my gateway to renewed creativity. I loaded a roll of black and white film, eager. My first shots were of mundane things: my apartment, the street outside, my favorite coffee shop. Normal, comforting. Developing the film in my makeshift darkroom, I felt that familiar thrill. The first few negatives looked clean, sharp. Everything seemed perfectly fine. Then a photo of my windowsill. Amongst the dust motes, a faint, distorted shadow, like a figure but twisted. I dismissed it as a developing error. Another roll, a shot of a park bench. This time, a reflection in a puddle showed something impossible, a person behind me, though no one was there. My heart quickened. Old cameras had quirks, I told myself. Light leaks, lens flares, but this felt different. It felt deliberate. I couldn't shake the unease. I started scrutinizing every detail. The anomalies grew more distinct. A shot of the bakery showed a faint, spectral hand reaching from behind the counter. No one noticed it. This happened to me. I took a photo of the intersection near my apartment. A bus stop, a lamppost, nothing out of the ordinary, or so I thought. When the print developed, my breath hitched. A small child's bicycle lay mangled under a delivery truck. A crowd had gathered. It was horrifyingly clear. I dismissed it as a macabre coincidence, a trick of the light, anything but real. The sheer specificity was terrifying. I tried to forget it, but the image seared itself into my mind. Days later, walking past that very intersection, I saw it. The crumpled bicycle, the delivery truck, the horrified crowd, exactly as the photograph had shown. My blood ran cold. This wasn't a coincidence. The camera showed the future, a chilling, undeniable truth that twisted my stomach into knots. Fear turned to a morbid fascination. I couldn't stop. I felt compelled to use it, to see what horrors it would reveal next, desperate for answers. The photos became increasingly vivid, disturbing. Not just accidents, but personal misfortunes. A friend's apartment fire, a neighbor's beloved pet going missing. I saw glimpses of my own involvement. A blurred hand, my sweater sleeve. Was I merely an observer, or was I somehow part of these unfolding tragedies? The camera itself felt different, cold, heavy, even in a warm room. Sometimes I heard faint mechanical clicks when it was just sitting there, unnerving. Paranoia consumed me. I felt watched, even when alone. Every shadow seemed to hold a secret, every sound a premonition. Sleep offered no escape. My dreams were plagued by the images I'd seen. Fragments of future disasters, twisted faces, my own reflection distorted. I awoke in cold sweats, screaming silently. The lines blurred. Was I documenting fate, or was the camera actively shaping it? Was it showing me what would happen, or what it wanted to happen? A new photo developed. My friend Sarah standing on a specific bridge at a specific time. The bridge collapsing beneath her, her face a mask of terror. This was too much. I couldn't let it happen. I grabbed the camera, determined to destroy it, to break its hold over me and the future. But as I raised it, the lens glowed red. Images flashed before my eyes, my apartment burning, me falling from a great height, my own demise, vivid and horrifying. It was sentient, it was threatening me. My hands trembled, losing their grip. The camera fell, but softly, landing upright, its lens still pulsing faintly. I was trapped, broken, the bridge collapsed, Sarah was gone, I couldn't save her, the camera had won, it always wins. Now it sits on my shelf, a constant, chilling reminder. Its cold gaze follows me. Every day I wonder what future horror it will show me next. I'm a prisoner to its visions. The world is a canvas for its malevolent art. My life is a constant, terrifying anticipation of the next tragedy. I try to warn people, but who would believe me? A haunted camera, they think I'm mad. Maybe I am, it's slowly taking my sanity. Sometimes I hear the faint clicks again. I know it's loading another frame, preparing another glimpse into a future I cannot change, only witness. The camera has consumed my life. My art is gone, replaced by a horrifying duty, to develop, to see, to suffer the knowledge. Every photo is a burden, a heavy weight on my soul. Each one screams of what is to come and my helplessness to alter the course. The faces in the photos, strangers, friends, they look up at me accusingly. They know I saw their fate, they know I did nothing. I try to resist, to put it away, but an invisible force pulls me back. The urge to know, to see, is stronger than any fear. It whispers to me, though I hear no words, a silent, insistent command to pick it up, to frame another shot, to feed its hunger for tragedy. My apartment feels like a tomb. The air is thick with dread. The camera is the only other occupant, and it's a malevolent one. I sometimes wonder about the old man, the seller. Did he know? Was he a victim too, passing on the curse, or was he its architect? The camera's images are a constant barrage. I see things I wish I could unsee, futures I wish didn't exist, all played out before my eyes. My connection to reality frays, what is real, what is merely a premonition, the world feels like a film strip constantly developing before me. I've stopped taking photos of anything beautiful. Why bother? It would only show me its destruction. Beauty is merely a prelude to ruin. The camera has stolen my hope, my joy. It has replaced it with a cold, hard certainty of impending doom. My life is now a living nightmare. I consider ending it, escaping its grasp, but then I imagine the photo it would produce. My own end, documented by its cold, unfeeling lens. It wants me alive, a witness to its power. A puppet, forced to watch the strings it pulls on the fabric of time and fate. I'm just a vessel for its visions. My eyes are its eyes, my mind its canvas, and it's never satisfied, it always demands more. The Craigslist camera, it came into my life so innocently. Now it's the master and I, the unwilling apprentice in its dark art. I'll never forget that day, the day I bought my unseen future, packaged in vintage metal and glass, the day my life truly ended. And the horror continues. It could happen to anyone. A cheap camera, a desperate hope, and suddenly your future is no longer your own. The world keeps turning, oblivious, but I know. I carry the weight of what is to come, a silent prophet of inevitable doom. And the camera waits, always waiting, for the next click, for the next tragedy, for the next soul to claim. Story 2, I was Alex, perpetually lonely. The vast city felt empty despite its bustling crowds. I yearned for a genuine connection, a shared moment with someone new. The daily grind was my usual refuge. I'd sit there, nursing a latte, watching people come and go, secretly wishing for a small, shared moment. One Tuesday, a stranger accidentally bumped me, spilling my latte. Our eyes met, and in that fleeting moment, there was a brief, warm spark. We shared a laugh, they apologized, kind eyes, a gentle smile. Then they vanished into the morning rush. Just like that, they were gone. That tiny, innocent encounter lingered in my mind for days. It was a small spark of hope in my otherwise solitary life. I couldn't shake the feeling. The feeling persisted. What if that fleeting glance, that shared laugh, was something more? What if it was the one asterisk? A quiet yearning grew. Driven by a desperate longing to reconnect, I found myself on Craigslist. I navigated to missed connections, my fingers hesitant over the keyboard. I typed out an ad recalling the coffee shop, the spilled latte, their kind eyes, hoping they'd see it, hoping they'd remember me too. To the kind eyes at the Daily Grind Tuesday morning, your smile lingered. I spilled my latte, you made me laugh, hope to reconnect. I typed. It was an innocent, hopeful post. I hit send, a flutter of naive anticipation in my chest. This happened to me. I'll never forget that moment. The next morning, an email notification. My heart leaped. A response. Could it be them? I clicked it open, a nervous thrill coursing through me. I remember you, it began. My excitement surged. Then I read the next line. You had a distinctive emerald green leather-bound notebook. My breath hitched. The notebook, my unique emerald green leather-bound journal. I hadn't mentioned that in my ad, not a single word. A small detail I rationalized, easily observed, but a prickle of unease started. Just a coincidence, right? I tried to reassure myself. I reread my Craigslist ad meticulously. No mention of the notebook, only the spilled latte and a fleeting smile. It was my personal detail. Still, the excitement of a potential connection outweighed the doubt. Perhaps they just had a sharp memory. I pushed the unease aside, wanting to believe. I replied, cautiously optimistic, asking if they were indeed the person from the coffee shop. I tried to sound casual, despite my stomach churning. That subtle, seemingly innocent reference to my notebook was the first thread of dread. I realize now, it was the moment my search took a dark turn. The replies came faster. Yes, it was me. One read. I liked your green scarf on Tuesday. It really suited you. My blood ran cold. I had worn my green scarf last Tuesday, but not to the Daily Grind. I wore it running errands far from downtown. How could they know? It was my usual grocery shopping day, a different part of town entirely. This wasn't a memory, it was an observation, a chilling, personal observation. Another message arrived. Your morning walk to work is always so peaceful. You enjoy that little coffee shop before you start your day. It's a nice routine. My stomach churned violently. This wasn't a missed connection. This was a detailed surveillance report of my daily life. Paralyzing fear set in. Then the truly chilling one delivered with unnerving casualness. Mittens looks cozy in the window today. Give her a pet for me. Mittens, my beloved black cat, often perched on the living room windowsill, basking in the sun. My heart pounded against my ribs, a frantic drum. My window, they had seen her. More than that, they had seen asterisk into my home asterisk. My sanctuary now violated, exposed. Cold dread seeped into my bones. The unease solidified into a cold, hard knot of terror. This wasn't a hopeful search. This was a horrifying realization. I was being watched relentlessly. I'll never forget that suffocating feeling. My world, once private, had been invaded. Every shadow seemed to hold unseen eyes, always watching me. My phone buzzed again, a shrill, unwelcome sound, a new message. I hesitated. Enjoying your chamomile tea now, are we, Alex? My cup, still steaming, was in my hand. I dropped it, tea splashing everywhere. They were here, nearby, watching me asterisk right now asterisk. The walls felt transparent. I rushed to the window, pulling back the curtain with shaking hands, scanning the street below. Nothing, just the usual evening traffic, anonymous cars. Every shadow became a potential hiding spot. Every rustle of leaves outside, every distant car door slam confirmed their presence, their proximity. My own home, once my sanctuary, now felt like a glass cage. I couldn't relax, couldn't breathe freely. The constant, invisible gaze was suffocating me. Walking outside became an ordeal. I felt eyes on my back everywhere I went, a phantom touch that made my skin crawl. The world was hostile. The grocery store, the park, even my apartment building's hallway felt unsafe. Every corner felt like a potential ambush, every stranger a watcher. I started taking different routes to work, changing my coffee shop, anything to break the pattern. But the fear was a constant companion, heart pounding. Sleep offered no escape. Nightmares of unseen eyes, a silent, relentless observer always just out of sight, haunted my restless nights. I was terrified. My world had shrunk, consumed by an omnipresent, terrifying gaze. The hope for connection had twisted into a living nightmare, a chilling presence. I blocked the email sender, hoping to sever the connection, to erase their digital presence. It was a desperate, futile gesture, I soon realized. A new email address, same chilling tone, arrived moments later. Changing your routine won't help, Alex. You're predictable even in attempts to be unpredictable. I bought new, stronger locks for my doors and windows. I even installed a cheap security camera, a desperate attempt to reclaim some control. The next message arrived, mocking my efforts. Nice new camera. It has a good view of the street. I think you'll find it quite useful eventually. My efforts were useless. They knew my every move, every attempt to escape their gaze. The realization was soul-crushing. There was no escape. The stalker's dedication was terrifying, their knowledge of my life absolute. It felt like I was living in a meticulously crafted prison with invisible walls. I was curled on my couch, phone clutched in my trembling hand, mittens asleep on my lap. Another message arrived, a jolt of pure dread. You're wearing your gray sweats, clutching your phone, mittens asleep on your lap. It was me, asterisk exactly asterisk. My breath caught, lodged in my throat. Attached was a photo, my living room, from asterisk outside my window asterisk. My face, frozen in despair, visible in the frame. They were right there. I screamed. The police came, but found nothing. No forced entry, no trace. They took my statement, but their eyes held a hint of skepticism. My home, once my sanctuary, became a cage. My trust in humanity, in safety, shattered. Every shadow, every sound sends a jolt of ice. The stalker is still out there. I feel their eyes always. I'll never know who or why. This horror never truly ends. I am forever watched. Story 3. This happened to me. Times were incredibly tough. A Craigslist ad for a unique, complex custom cabinet offered an exorbitant sum. The client, Mr. Thorne, communicated solely via email. Still, the money was impossible to refuse. His initial emails were brief, almost curt, yet the attached contract was impeccable. A substantial down payment was wired instantly, confirming his seriousness. This was the biggest commission of my career, a chance to finally get ahead. I tried calling the number listed in the ad once, but it was disconnected. Mr. Thorne preferred anonymity, stating the nature of the project required discretion. I shrugged it off, eager to start. Who was I to question a paying client? The project description was vague, a storage unit unlike any other. He promised the blueprints would arrive soon. My workshop, usually a place of quiet industry, buzzed with anticipation. I imagined intricate joinery, exotic woods. I prepared my tools, sharpened my chisels, and cleared my largest workbench. This was it, my big break. I envisioned the beautiful, functional piece I would create, the pride I would feel. Little did I know, pride was not what this project would bring. The blueprints arrived not as paper, but as a heavy, sealed wooden box. Inside, rolled parchment, intricately drawn. My excitement quickly turned to confusion. This was unlike anything I had ever seen. There were no straight lines, impossible angles curved inward, defying logic. The design depicted a series of interlocking chambers, but with no practical storage purpose. It looked almost organic, like a strange, segmented shell. The materials list was equally strange. Not just aged oak or walnut, but petrified bogwood, whisper pine, and ironwood from the shadowed peaks. Specific, almost ritualistic requirements for sourcing. Rare metals were specified too, cold-forged silver and moon-touched copper. And then the truly bizarre, calcified bone fragments and obsidian shards harvested from volcanic vents. My brow furrowed in disbelief. Mr. Thorne's next email clarified the materials are integral to its purpose. Do not deviate. The tone was firm, brooking no argument. My unease grew, but the money kept me tethered to the project. Sourcing these materials became a quest. I scoured specialized suppliers, online forums, and even dark web marketplaces. Each acquisition felt like a step further into an unknown, shadowy world. The petrified bogwood arrived, dark and heavy, smelling faintly of decay and something ancient. It felt cold to the touch, unnaturally so, even on a warm day. I shivered, dismissing it as my imagination. The whisper pine was pale, almost translucent, with faint, swirling patterns within its grain. When I held it, I thought I heard a faint, almost imperceptible hum like distant wind chimes. The bone fragments were polished smooth, almost pearlescent, yet still unsettling. The obsidian shards were razor-sharp, catching the light with a predatory glint. I kept them separate, wrapped in thick cloth. The sheer cost of these materials was staggering, yet Mr. Thorne approved every invoice without question. His payments were always prompt, often arriving before I even requested them. This financial ease was a strange comfort. As construction began, my shop felt different. The familiar scent of sawdust mingled with an earthy, almost metallic odor emanating from the materials. A subtle chill seemed to permeate the air, even with the heater on. My tools, usually extensions of my hands, seemed to resist. Saw blades dulled faster, chisels chipped unexpectedly. Cuts were harder, as if the wood itself pushed back against the steel, fighting its transformation. The wood felt unnaturally cold, not just the bogwood, but all of it. Even the whisper pine seemed to absorb heat. My hands often ached, not from work, but from a deep, bone-chilling cold that seemed to radiate from the project. I started catching glimpses of shadows at the periphery of my vision, fleeting, formless shapes that vanished when I turned my head. I blamed fatigue, long hours, and the stress of such a demanding commission. Faint whispers, almost imperceptible, seemed to drift through the air, like wind through dry leaves or distant, hushed voices. I'd pause, listen, but hear nothing concrete, just the hum of the fluorescent lights. An increasing sense of being watched settled over me. I'd spin around suddenly, expecting to see someone, but the workshop was always empty. The feeling was pervasive, chilling, like eyes burning into my back. One night, a heavy mallet fell from a shelf, narrowly missing my head. I swore I'd placed it securely. Was I just clumsy, or was something else at play, a malevolent presence disrupting my work? The whispers seemed to coalesce around the emerging structure. Sometimes I'd swear they were murmuring my name or ancient, guttural words I couldn't comprehend. My sleep became restless, haunted by strange dreams. My dog, Buster, usually my faithful workshop companion, refused to enter. He'd stand at the doorway, hackles raised, whimpering softly, then retreat to the house. His fear was palpable, and it unnerved me deeply. I started leaving the shop lights on overnight, a futile attempt to ward off the growing dread. The hum of the fluorescent tubes was a small comfort against the encroaching silence and the oppressive feeling of being alone. The cabinet started to take shape, revealing itself to be less of a functional piece of furniture and more like a segmented shell or a complex sarcophagus. Its form was unsettling, alien. The internal chambers were too small, too specific to be for storage. They were narrow, winding passages, some barely large enough for a hand, others ending in blind, hollow spaces. What was their purpose? As I worked on the inner surfaces, I began to notice strange, ancient-looking symbols etched into the plans. They weren't decorative, they were precise, repeating patterns, almost like a forgotten language. I tried researching them but found no match in any historical or mythological texts. They were utterly unique, yet felt profoundly old, carrying a weight of forgotten knowledge. The structure seemed to breathe. As I fitted the pieces, I felt a subtle expansion and contraction, a faint pulse. It was as if the wood itself had come alive, responding to my touch. The air around it grew heavy, thick with a scent I couldn't place, earthy, metallic, and something else, something primal and alive. It made my head ache, my stomach churn. The moon-touched copper began to oxidize in peculiar ways, not a normal green patina, but a shimmering, almost iridescent purple. It pulsed faintly under the shop lights. The calcified bone fragments were embedded into specific points, acting as hinges or locking mechanisms. They clicked into place with an unnerving, organic sound, like dry joints articulating. I started seeing patterns in the shadows, not just fleeting glimpses, but sustained forms that seemed to mimic the cabinet's strange geometry. They writhed and shifted just beyond clear sight. My dreams became vivid nightmares of ancient forests, whispering entities, and a looming, dark structure that pulsed with malevolent energy. I woke in a cold sweat, unable to shake the feeling of dread. Mr. Thorne's emails grew more unsettling. He'd inquire about my spiritual state or if I felt the resonance of the wood. His questions were unnervingly specific, as if he knew exactly what was happening. He insisted I work primarily at night, claiming the wood breathed better in the dark. He offered bonuses for nocturnal progress. The extra money was tempting, but the request deepened my unease. The structure did seem different at night. The whispers were clearer, the cold more intense. Sometimes the faint hum I'd heard from the whisper pine grew into a low thrumming, vibrating through the floor. He asked if I'd noticed any unusual phenomena in the shop. I lied, saying no, fearing what his response might be. What if he wanted me to embrace these horrors? His payments remained prompt, over-generous. Each deposit was a golden handcuff binding me further to this increasingly terrifying project. I couldn't afford to walk away. I started bringing a flask of whiskey to the shop just to dull the edges of the fear. Each sip was a small rebellion, a fleeting moment of warmth against the pervasive chill. The symbols on the plans began to glow faintly in the dark, a soft, internal luminescence. I convinced myself it was just the reflection of my work light, but deep down, I knew it wasn't. The air grew thick with a sense of anticipation, like a storm brewing. The workshop felt charged, alive with an unseen energy. It was almost complete. I was haunted by the thought, what was I building? A vessel? A cage? For what? The answers felt terrifyingly close, lurking just beyond my comprehension. The whispers intensified, forming into coherent phrases, ancient incantations in a language I couldn't understand, yet my mind instinctively recoiled from their malevolence. One night, while fitting the final, central chamber, I discovered a hidden instruction. A tiny, almost invisible section of the blueprint detailed a blood ritual to awaken the vessel. My blood ran cold. The symbols suddenly clicked into place. I wasn't building a cabinet, I was constructing a prison, or worse, a conduit for something ancient and sinister. A profound chill swept through the shop. A low hum emanated from the almost finished structure, growing louder, more resonant. Behind it, a formless shadow coalesced, a presence of immense, ancient malice. Mr. Thorne's final email arrived. It hungers for completion. I fled my workshop that night, leaving the half-finished cabinet behind. Tools scattered, the air thick with dread. I never returned. The shop stands empty, boarded up, a monument to my terror. Sometimes, driving past at night, I swear I see a faint, reddish glow and hear a rhythmic thrumming from within. I often wonder what became of Mr. Thorne and what, precisely, I almost finished building. A cage or a gateway, is it still waiting? Story 4. We were desperate, scrolling Craigslist for months, our savings dwindling. Then it appeared, a charming house, impossibly cheap, nestled in a quiet neighborhood. It felt too good to be true, a beacon of hope. My partner Alex was skeptical, but the photos were stunning. 3 bedrooms, a big yard, and the price? Unbelievable. We decided to schedule a viewing despite the nagging feeling in my gut. The house itself was even better in person. Old, with character, but well-maintained. A faint, earthy smell permeated the air, which we attributed to its age. We were smitten, ignoring any red flags. The real estate agent, a nervous woman named Mrs. Davies, seemed overly eager. She rushed us through, avoiding certain rooms, her eyes darting. "Owners in a hurry," she mumbled, brushing off our questions. Despite her odd behavior, we were too blinded by the price and the potential. We put in an offer immediately. It was accepted within hours, no negotiation. This should have been our first real warning. The closing process was a blur. The previous owner, a Mr. Thorne, never met us. Everything was done through lawyers with an urgency that felt almost frantic. We signed the papers, keys in hand. "Congratulations," the lawyer said, handing us a heavy ring of old keys. "It's all yours." His tone was flat, almost somber. We just smiled, oblivious, dreaming of our new life. Moving day was exhilarating. We unloaded boxes, laughing, planning where everything would go. The house felt vast, full of echoes, but also full of promise. We were finally homeowners. That first night we celebrated with takeout on the living room floor. The house was mostly empty, our voices echoing. A sudden, sharp, cold spot passed over me, making me shiver. "Just an old house settling," Alex said, noticing my goosebumps. I nodded, pulling my sweater tighter. It was a beautiful home, and we were determined to make it ours. Days turned into weeks. We unpacked, painted, and started to settle in. But the subtle oddities continued. Lights flickered randomly, even after Alex checked the wiring. I started hearing faint whispers when I was alone, just at the edge of hearing. Like someone talking in the next room, but when I checked, no one was there. My imagination, I told myself. Alex noticed it too. "Did you hear that?" he'd ask, pausing mid-sentence. Sounded like someone called my name. We'd search, find nothing, and shrug it off. The house developed a strange personality. Doors would creak open or slowly close on their own. We blamed drafts, but sometimes there was no breeze at all. One morning, I found my coffee mug, which I'd left on the kitchen counter, neatly placed in the sink. Alex denied moving it. "Must have done it unconsciously," he suggested. Small objects would vanish, only to reappear in bizarre places. My car keys once turned up in the refrigerator. We started accusing each other, then laughing it off. The feeling of being watched intensified. A prickling sensation on my neck, the distinct impression of eyes on my back, especially when I was alone in a room. Alex started leaving lights on at night. "Just easier to navigate," he claimed, but I knew he was unsettled. The house felt heavier, colder, even with the heat on. One night I woke abruptly. The room was freezing. I could feel a weight at the foot of our bed, a silent, oppressive presence. I squeezed my eyes shut, too terrified to move. I lay there rigid until dawn. When I finally dared to open my eyes, the feeling was gone. I tried to convince myself it was a nightmare, a product of stress. "I saw something," Alex whispered the next morning, his face ashen. "Last night. A dark figure at the foot of the bed, just standing there watching us." My blood ran cold. It wasn't a nightmare. We had both experienced it. This wasn't settling. This wasn't drafts. This was something else, something malicious. We started searching for answers, desperately. online forums, local history, anything that could explain the bizarre occurrences in our impossibly cheap home. Alex found a mention of our address in an old town archive. A previous owner, a Mr. Thorne, had sold the house abruptly, citing unforeseen circumstances. Unforeseen circumstances, I scoffed, more like unseen entity. We felt a chilling sense of dread confirming our suspicions. He hadn't just sold it, he'd fled. We began to scrutinize every inch of the house. We searched attics, basements, behind walls, looking for anything that Mr. Thorne might have left behind. In the back of a dusty wardrobe in the master bedroom, behind a false panel, I found it. A small, leather-bound journal, its pages worn and warped. My heart pounded. This had to be it. Mr. Thorne's journal, the truth finally laid bare. I opened it with trembling hands, the faint scent of old paper and fear wafting up. The entries were frantic, almost illegible in places. Dates jumped. The handwriting grew more erratic with each page. It spoke of the presence, the watcher. It knows when you're alone, one entry read. It feeds on fear. My stomach twisted. We weren't alone in this house. We never had been. Mr. Thorne detailed the escalating events, cold spots, whispers, moving objects, exactly what we were experiencing. He had tried to fight it, to ignore it. Then the journal described the visual manifestations. The shadows, the figures at the foot of the bed. It matched Alex's terrified account perfectly. He wrote of feeling drained, exhausted, constantly watched. The entity was slowly consuming his life, his sanity. He couldn't sleep, couldn't eat. It wants me to stay, an entry screamed. It won't let me leave. It considers me its property. A shiver ran down my spine, colder than any draft. He had tried to sell. The entity resisted. Potential buyers felt an immediate, overwhelming dread, refusing to step foot inside. Finally, he found a loophole, an impossibly low price, a desperate sale, no showings. He had dumped the house and its occupant onto us. The last entry was chilling. They're moving in today. I'm free, but it will find them. It will make them stay. My blood ran cold. We were the new targets. We slammed the journal shut. The truth was worse than any speculation. Mr. Thorne hadn't escaped. He'd merely transferred his prison sentence to us. The house felt different now. Every creak, every shadow, every cold spot was no longer a mystery. It was a confirmation. We were being watched. We have to leave, I whispered, my voice trembling. Alex nodded, his face pale. Tonight, we pack what we can and go. We started throwing essentials into bags. The air grew heavy. A low growl rumbled from somewhere deep within the walls, vibrating through the floorboards. The lights began to flicker violently, plunging the house into near darkness. The temperature plummeted. A guttural whisper filled the room, "You cannot leave." A heavy thud echoed from the front door. We rushed to it, hands clammy. It was locked, bolted from the outside. We were trapped. Panicked, we tried the back door, the windows, all sealed shut as if by an invisible force. The house had become a cage. The entity's presence was overwhelming. It filled every corner, every shadow. It was no longer subtle. It was asserting its dominance. A vase flew off the mantelpiece, shattering against the wall near my head. A warning, a declaration. We were its new, permanent tenants. We heard heavy footsteps thudding upstairs, then descending, slow and deliberate. The air grew thick with a putrid, metallic smell. A dark, amorphous mass coalesced in the hallway, growing larger, more defined. 2 pinpricks of red light glowed within its depths, its eyes. We screamed, but no sound escaped our throats. Frozen in terror, we could only watch as it advanced. The house was no longer ours, it was its. We are still here, prisoners in our home. Every day is a struggle, every night a torment. It watches us always, it owns us, there is no escape. Story 5. I was Alex, a struggling musician. Debt, empty fridge, I needed a gig. My guitar, my only hope. A Craigslist ad, private concert, excellent pay, too good. My gut screamed caution, but desperation silenced it. The email was instant, vague details, huge sum. My skepticism vanished. This was my chance, my big break. I packed my guitar. The address was deep country. A voice whispered, "Don't go." I ignored it. The drive grew unsettling. Cell service died. Roads narrowed, trees closing in. GPS flickered, then dark. Thick, unnatural fog rolled in. Ancient, heavy, muffling sound. Suffocating silence. I gripped the wheel. Time distorted, air colder, damp. Every turn felt wrong. Dread filled the car, growing steadily. Through mist, a silhouette, towering wrought iron gate. Ornate, rusted, no light beyond, just darkness. I pushed the gate, it groaned mournfully. Gravel crunched, fog clung closer, dread settled. Then the mansion, monstrous shadow, gothic, vast, windows like vacant eyes, oppressive silence. Engine off, silence absolute, heavier than fog, no sound, my heartbeat thudded frantic. Front door, heavy oak, ajar, no bell, it beckoned, my hand trembled pushing it open. Inside, darkness, faint, cloying scent, dust, old wood, something cold, air stagnant. No greeting, no sounds, grand staircase spiraled up, cold current. "Hello," I whispered. Flickering movement, just shadows, I clutched my guitar. A strange compulsion pulled me deeper. A wide archway, beyond a ballroom, not people but figures, dozens perfectly still. They faced a platform, unnervingly silent, motionless, not one moved, unbearable stillness. I stepped onto the platform, footsteps echoed, felt their gazes, faces indistinct, silence. Set up gear, hands fumbling, no rustle, no cough, just their unblinking stare. I cleared my throat. I started, notes vanished, no applause, no movement, faces impassive, dread deepened. A deeper chill seeped in, eyes dull, lifeless, waxy pallor, ancient dead, I knew. Fingers faltered, decay scent grew, old flowers, damp earth, clung to them, I felt sick. This wasn't an audience, they were exhibits, or worse, my music a futile offering. Livelier tune, still nothing, stares unwavering, they consumed my energy, not enjoyed it. Throat dry, air heavy, every note a sacrifice, this was terribly, terribly wrong. Woman in faded gown, head tilted imperceptibly, a flicker, imagination fueled by fear. Sorrowful ballad, blank faces, room sighed, ancient breath, cold intensified, something shifted. Man in uniform, bloodless lips parted, faint whisper like rustling leaves, more, and my blood froze. Stopped mid-chord, silence deafening, figures leaned, vacant eyes fixed, pure terror. Truth slammed me, not people, corpses, animated, my audience was dead, I was trapped. Panic surged, I stumbled, my music wasn't entertainment, it was sustenance, I fed them. An ancient pact, my life force, spirit the payment, I was their conduit to existence. I spun, desperate, archway gone, solid, dark wall, mansion sealed, trapping me with dead. They moved, slow, jerky, vacant eyes held hunger. Shuffled, a creeping tide towards me. Whispers grew, play, feed us, forever, skeletal hands reached, beckoning. Grabbed guitar as shield, mind screamed, cold gazes enveloped me, pulling me into horror. Adrenaline surged, small window, high wall, my only chance, escape or join them. Primal scream through guitar, shattered against figure, rippled crowd, momentary distraction. Scrambled, clawing furniture, dead reached, cold touch, felt their desperate pull. Reached window, old, fragile, one punch, glass shattered, cold air rushed in, freedom. Tumbled out, landing hard, fog a blanket, ran blindly, pure terror, never looked back. Lungs burned, legs ached, ran until breathless. Mansion a nightmare, images seared. Found my car miraculously there, key in, engine roared, sped away, no glance back. Sun rose, alien hues, safe but changed, darkness of night clung to me. Home collapsed, apartment silence now sanctuary, their whispers still echoed. My guitar shattered, couldn't touch it, music meant dread, feeding the dead. That melody haunting, soundtrack to torment, a reminder of what I almost became. Reported it, police scoffed, no mansion there son, they thought I was mad. Craigslist ad vanished, ghost in machine, not a gig but ancient hungry horror. I'll never forget, silent faces, decay, hungry eyes, music died, mansion waits.